Hello, my name is Max Drake. I want to talk to you about PowerKey4Revit. A particular pain point that I have inside Revit is it does the BIM and it does the 3D modeling absolutely fantastically. But where to me it falls down is on things like this. So R4 is I'm going to draw a region. So I'm looking down inside my area and straight away it defaults into line. So suddenly I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks. Then I've got to come up here and go, yes, I want it there. And I'm suddenly thinking, that I find very distracting. I'm looking at here, I want to do a region. So if I do it the other way, I can then suddenly think, I've got to go up to a ribbon and change that to a rectangle. Then I can come down and click the 2 points. Then I've got to come back up here again and click on that. So it's a very distracting command. And there's a few like that you do. You end up having to go all over the place when you just want to actually just get the thing done. I've got one, just G spacebar, and it comes in, it sets you in there, you pick 2 points, and it's over. So you're looking at where you want to do the work, and you just pick the points and do it. So that's quite easy. Now that's what I actually want to be able to do. I just want to focus on what I'm doing. Another one is notes. So here's a note that I'm actually going to do through here. So I'm going to go and select a text field. This is a file that I can actually select a line. It comes in, got preset the arrow type that I actually want to have. I can actually just bash it in there. If I do another one and I just go NN through there again, and if I choose a pipe note through here, you see the symbols come through. So straight away I actually have the symbols. So there's the arrow coming through, it aligns through there, and bang, I've got that lined up as I want. So it's nice, it brings in the symbols and all of those. Now when I get into here and I suddenly saying, that symbol, I don't want the symbol there, I want that to be 32 millimeters or whatever, and I want my symbol through here. So what I can do is the normal way that they've got now through here. Instead of the symbols, you can come down into symbols. If you right hand click and get the context menu, come down and select diameter. So that's one way, or else you can just type DIA spacebar and it drops in the symbol straight away for you. So if you want the degree symbol, DEG, and it does degree symbol. Let's say that was a temperature, so I can actually go DEG C and it'll drop in the degree C symbol. So another way that you actually, I do want to say that, yeah. Another thing that you can actually do is you want a full note instead of just a single line of note of when you're doing specific things. So I can actually come in here and I can click on a point through here, and this just drops me through as a legend that I can actually have on a legend sheet, or else it's an abbreviation legend on that. And if I just use another example here, just to demonstrate, we can actually put the symbols in. So these are symbols that I've actually got to actually make sure that you can use them in the imperial and in metric as well. So if I actually wanted to do a half, I can actually just go use the half, and it actually just puts a reduced symbol of a half in there. So I've got other ones for all of these ones through here. So I find this quick because I don't actually have to suddenly thinking, I've now got to come out of here. I've now got to come out of here. I've got to right context menu and go and look for a symbol. I can just type the symbol that I want, DIA space. It's easier to me. It's a more natural flow as what you're actually doing with your writing. So those are those annotations things working through there. We can actually do that in the note block through there. So we can actually come into a schedule, and if I just pick on an item in the schedule and type SN, and this will then come up with a pop-up box. I can go into the pipe diameter through there and go stormwater, and then I can click on a cell and it just drops that in there as I want. I can actually bring my symbols in here as well. So instead of it, you could actually have a yes, no tick box for certain things, or you might actually instead want to use one column to do multiple things. Like does it have a handle on the outside of the door? Does it have a key lock on the outside of the door? Does it have a snip? So you can actually have 3 things there and just put plus, minus, and pluses. So I can actually just go into here and type tick spacebar, and it should, it's actually written off the other ones, just put a tick in on its own. So you're able to actually put the symbols in there as well. So that's a lot quicker from the point of view of, and I must admit, I do find schedules fiddly. And this is all right just for a little bit of tidying up. I would always recommend that you just push in and pull out from Excel to do those sorts of things. Another thing that you might want to do as well is, if we're into here, one thing which I do find myself doing a little bit with clients is that they want to choose a certain aspect of things. So that what I can do is go OG, I can select an item, it'll highlight and come up. What's happened there? OG, select an item. There it comes through, and it's slowing down a little bit because I've got the video on, so it does normally perform a bit better. And we can actually just put these as a bright red and go OK. And go OK. So I've highlighted the client said I want to choose all of the chairs. So you suddenly think there's 8 chairs there, there's 4 in the living room of those type there, and there's these bar stools through there. So you've done a screenshot, or you've made a print off and sent that off to the client so that they know what items that they need to go and look at. You can then suddenly say, right, I can carry on with the rest of my project through there, so let's clear all of that away. So I can type OH, and I can just come in, select an item, and it will go and select them all and just reset them all. So I can quickly go through and do that sort of thing. Another thing is, you get to a certain point in the project, you get very, very busy, and suddenly there's too much noise, and you just need to get in and do a little bit of a tweak. So you want to move things out of the way. So what we can do is type RR1, and that brings up something, and we can just go intersections and elevations, and this will automate going through and setting isolating certain things. So suddenly this is a lot easier to do, but it's still too noisy for me. Get rid of all the furniture, so and other ancillary items inside. So I can actually type RR1 again, and I can get rid of the furniture and all the hoodackis. So this will go through and automate that process. Now, this particular script, I've designed it so that you can actually build your own. So if you've got a whole lot of things, so you've got your final presentation drawing of what you actually want the view to look like, and you've got your view template for that, and you don't want to just isolate 1 or 2 things. You actually want to see it, so you get a feel for what the space looks like, maybe empty, that you want to do a camera shot or whatever, and then you can type RR1, and it just toggles back on again. So I'm now going to toggle all of those back on again, and it will just go through and toggle those. Now I can do that on all 4 tabs of Model, Annotation, Analytic, and Import a Category. And then we've done those ones, and that's brought the text back on again. And now we're going to do R1, and we're just going to turn the furniture back on again. So that will now go through and automate all of those particular ones, of which I thought would need to be done at that point in time. So this is an intermediate point of view where you're not just isolating 1 or 2 particular things. You can suddenly clear out things so that you can blast away and do your work, and then just switch them on and off. So it's an intermediate point. Now, allow for tools to allow you to do that. Now, a couple of other things in here. So we can type SSSS 4 times, and this brings up this. So inside here, I can set, instead of my arrow being 2 segment, I can set it as curved or as nothing. I can set some of my units as either imperial or metric. I can say which folders I want to put my files in, so they're easily accessible. And I can also, on some of my text boxes where I'm using a pull down menu of descriptors of what I'm air supply for ductwork, maybe supply air, return air, extract air, whatever I want to do it, instead of, or I may actually just want to have SA, RA, EA, all of these particular ones, and the same with the pipe work as well. So we can set all of those up inside here so that there's an office standard that you have, so there's a lot more consistency. So inside here I can type PP, and this pops up with this, and I can actually go 32, and I can choose whatever system that I want, and I can go OK, and now I've got a curved arrow, because that's what I've set it all as. So every time I type anything else, it's a curved arrow. Now I want a curved arrow to the left hand side, so I can actually type W4, and that will now add a curved arrow onto that side. On this one here, because that's straight, I can actually type W1, and that will put an arrow onto that side. I can actually say, oh, now that one there is there. I'm just going to go W2, remove last arrow, and now I'm going to make that W5 and make that a curly arrow on that side. So I can easily do this without going up and playing with the ribbon, and so I can focus on the area where I'm working, and it can speed things up. So this brings me on to the next point. So here is a diagram of the sorts of things. So there's a big area at the bottom here, which are the commands, and a lot of them are to do with annotation, because that's what I find I'm doing quite a lot, and I like to have them just ready to grab and to use. Now you could do the cut and paste, so you cut it and bring it into clipboard, then you actually go in and you type TX or T space bar is my thing, and then you have your text, and then you go and paste it into there, and then you go back and find the thing and do it that way, or you take it from another drawing. This way, as far as I'm concerned, is a lot easier. You know exactly what you've got and you structures you want. There's some on the visibility graphics here, there's some on the search methods through here, and there's some on some Swift keys and also some modifier keys like rotation. Because like I find something like the rotation quite fiddly, because you find the center point of your rotation, and then it says what angle. Now, normally I'm just rotating through 90, 180, or minus 90. And again with, so I have R1, R2, R3 for those sorts of things. So instead of, you know, these other things, it's like mirror. A lot of times you do a mirror and then you suddenly think, oh, blast, it's just copied mirrored. So you actually rarely ever do a copy mirror. Once in a while I will, but generally I'm actually just flicking something over because I'm reorientating stuff. Now on this side here, I've got the main commands and scripts. On the second side here, this is where I'm trying to empower the users so that you can create scripts and things yourself. So I'm adding tools. So there's a couple of tools to actually give the X and Y coordinates so that you can tick the boxes of where you want for visibility graphics and stuff like that. You can also make your own speed keys, so they are not keyboard shortcuts which are just 2, 3, 4, 5 letters long, but they are actually modifier keys. So you've got to hold something like Control plus W or Control Alt plus thing. So you can actually remap mine to modifier keys using a tool called PowerTool. On this side here, it's help. So I can type HLP and it comes up with a list of all the commands that are actually in there that you can just got visually straight away through there. An important thing as well is that every time you use one of these keys, it's storing that count inside a frequency file. So if I just type 7777, whoops, it comes up and it shows you how many times you've used those keys. Now, when we actually look at the program itself, and I would encourage you to try and use the 30-day trial, is to actually, there's an ROI, so return on investment calculator. So you know how long, you can measure how long you used to do, it would take you to do a command. You then measure, you can time yourself on how long it takes you to do the command if you're using one of these commands. Some of them are exactly the same time because you're just using a slightly different mapping for the keys. But as an example of that, for the region one, I actually found the other one was taking about 15 seconds and I brought it down to 12 seconds. So there was a change of 3 seconds. So if you did this 20 times a day, and you can actually see the frequency. Now the frequency is how many times you've used it. So it's not somebody else, it's your time, and you've got provable data of how many times you use it within a week or within a month or whatever. You just clean this out and start it all again. And then you can actually see which keys you use much more frequently than others. And then you can suddenly put them onto a speed key to make it more handy for what your preferences are. But this gives you a count. Now from that, you can actually say, well, if I'm saving 3 seconds and I've done it 20 times a day, then I've saved a minute. Now in a week I've saved 5 minutes, in a month I've saved 20 minutes. So 20 minutes times my hourly rate, you know, I've saved that much dollars on one command. So you can actually start counting and seeing how much productivity or return on investment this is actually doing. So that means it's just costing you, you're doing the same job, but you're doing it faster. So it's a way of proving that you that there is a productivity thing, because you know, people make statements about you know, these things are more efficient or something like that, and there may be this fantastic add-in that does something, but if you only use it once a week, it's not increasing your productivity a particularly amazing amount of time. These ones, and so this is where I've been focusing on tools or on commands that you use every day. So this is where I think you will find that you will get faster and faster. And this is one of the things I actually found with I used to be very, very fast at AutoCAD. I ended up with a whole lot of things punched onto one key. And I would be freelance. So one of the things is you end up going into other people's setups. This doesn't affect anybody's setup. This is just a method of actually just moving through and actually creating that information in a quick and steady way. And it's focusing on staying in this area of the screen and not bothering to jump through all the ribbon stuff that you need to do, that you can do that straight away. So I would encourage you to actually give it, try the free trial. When you actually download it, you will actually have the frequency any file there, and you can actually measure the number of times that you actually do that. So it just writes it to a file every time you just type something. So you just throw it away at the end of the time if you don't want it, or clean it out, start again. So at the beginning, I think it's worth you exploring to see whether it's something that you might find usable. Inside the other ones, there's a whole list. This one takes you to all the commands, and generally all the commands have a video showing them what you're doing, and there's a whole list of the current commands and what they actually stand through there. So the symbols and the other commands and things that you can actually do. So thank you very much for watching.